motoring to the right. Still Valencia, just too high for Rashford. Here's Martial! Chip in, he's looking for Morgan. Morgan's header, Leicester level! There's a beaming smile on the face of the Foxes captain.
Costa turns Alderweireld. Hazard! He has done it! He won the title for Chelsea a year ago. He might just have won the title for Leicester City tonight. Eden Hazard! 2-2 at the bridge.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Josh YouTube channel, where today we start is episode 1 of a brand new series where we get different people on from different clubs and we talk about a bit about last season, a bit about pre-season, a bit about the season coming ahead. I've got my guest who also is Debbie on the channel and a part of the Beyond the 90 YouTube channel. Hopefully that way a small video kind of bring back some good memories ahead of a nice wee chat we're going to have.
Yeah, it was that every time I see that video, and just it's that bit at the end that I always love. Every time I see that of Alan Birchnell walking out with the Premier League trophy, Vichai there, Claudio Ranieri. It just brings back so many memories, and it just brings back, like, obviously we're still in very much good times at Leicester City, but just that whole season, the community, the unity at the club, it was just absolutely incredible. And to win the Premier League in the way that we did, 10 points clear of anyone else, just absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if you remember at the start of the season, Nigel Pearson obviously got sacked. We were odds-on favourite to get relegated. The actual odds of us winning the Premier League, 5,000 to 1. So the fact that we went and did that, absolutely ridiculous.
It was astonishing. That was astonishing that season. You know how last season they went from Nigel Pearson getting sacked to Claudio Ranieri coming in, and you just ramped the league then, and just Jimmy Vardy obviously had an absolutely incredible year. Wes Morgan, you had Danny Drinkwater and the Kante in the pivot, or as the two holding midfielders. Astonishing. I have to ask this, Lou. Right? As a Chelsea fan, does Hazard have a special place in Leicester City hearts, just like he has with us?
To an extent, not for me to the level that I think the media push it, but Chelsea won Leicester the league. We went on and won it by 10 points. Like, yes, Chelsea meant that we won it that night, but either way, we would have won the league with the top points total what we had. But the fact that you stopped Tottenham, and in the fact that in the style that you stopped Tottenham, I think that was just brilliant. But obviously, that moment, yes, it's a brilliant moment, and I love that goal from Hazard, but I do think that it's always this always does bother. It annoys me slightly because I think it discredits what we achieved that year, saying that Chelsea won the league for Leicester. No, Leicester won the league for Leicester. We were absolutely brilliant throughout that season, and I think we deserve every bit of credit for it.
Yeah, no, I do completely agree. I just asked that question because I remember Hazard's final Premier League game against Leicester at King Power, when Sarri subbed him off, the whole King Power gave him a round of applause and started chanting Eden Hazard with the Chelsea fans. So it just reminds me how much respect obviously Leicester do have for Hazard, and obviously in some shape way or form. Obviously, you won the league that season, but obviously there was another wee special event that happened yesterday. So we'll very briefly relive what obviously happened last season for Leicester City. Obviously, another incredible 11 for Leicester. Obviously, this only happened literally a few months ago. Obviously, you won the FA Cup. You actually had quite a difficult run to win the FA Cup. You came up against some really really good sides. Obviously, but you smashed. You outplayed United. You outplayed Chelsea. We didn't turn up on the day. Leicester were completely dominant the whole game. And you've seen the son of the guy who's behind you. Obviously now the guy who's running the show at Leicester. It's just for so many reasons, for your history, for the owner, for the club, for the fans, like for the how special that FA Cup win truly was last season.
I can't stop smiling looking at that. That's about one trophy that we've never won, and obviously we won the Premier League, but that was never something that I thought. Well, obviously you wanted Leicester to win it, but it was never something that seemed in the realms of reality, like when you're growing up watching Leicester. But the FA Cup was always the one, but a lot of older Leicester fans were saying that like we want to win that. That'll be the pinnacle of supporting Leicester. The way that we did it, like just absolutely, but it almost feels like as brilliant as it was, and the scenes in Leicester on the day, Wembley, the Leicester fans completely carried the atmosphere on that day.
Chelsea, you wouldn't think there were Chelsea fans in the ground. Chelsea were not. The Chelsea fans, there's 3,000 fans of Chelsea were in, and you did not hear them at all. It was all Leicester throughout the 90 minutes. Like, you wouldn't think there were Chelsea fans in the ground. They were completely drowned out.
I think just like that day is just absolutely incredible, and it's just for one thing that I'd say is a bit of a shame is the fact that it's the one trophy that we've wanted to win for a long time. And the run that we had to it was all behind closed doors, because the game at the King Power, absolutely playing United off the park. Imagine the fans were in there for that game. That would have been absolutely incredible. That would be a game that you would never forget in itself. Against Southampton at Wembley, as well. I know that wasn't probably our best performance, but who cares? A win at Wembley to get you to the final of the FA Cup. So it's brilliant, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's anything in a negative way, but it just feels like it would have been so nice to have done it in a regular season.
Yeah, no, that's because you would have liked to be there and actually be a part of our experience. In terms of obviously the two managers who won you the league, and obviously when we'll start off with Claudio Ranieri. Obviously Ranieri won you the league. And then obviously the following season didn't go particularly well for him. He got replaced by William Shakespeare. Was it Shakespeare, wasn't it?
Craig Shakespeare.
I'm thinking of the guy. I'm thinking of the old Englishman. I do the same with the NFL between the Cardiff coach and the Packers coach. I do exactly the same. But yeah, Craig Shakespeare. But obviously, I don't think. Obviously, he'll always be a legend. Welcome back at the King Power, doing quite well at Sampdoria over in Serie A at the moment. He did very well last season. Got a mid-table finish with them, which is quite well known for them. So obviously a guy who will always have a special heart in Leicester. Just the team probably didn't work out for him in the second season, and could have took Leicester all the way in the Champions League as far as he could.
Yeah, and with Ranieri, I think he got the perfect storm with that team the year we won the title. Just like the flair of Mahrez, the work ethic of all the players that maybe aren't as big superstar names, but you'll never see a team work harder than that team worked. And I just think the next year, the recruitment, this is the one time I don't think we got the recruitment right at Leicester. We brought in Slimani for 30 million. Until we signed Tielemans, that was our club record signing. We didn't really replace Kante until January. And also, there's a reason he's called the Tinker Man. And when it's not going right for him, he changes it every week. And the players looked confused in that second season. And as much as it was probably a harsh decision for what he achieved in the season before with winning the league, absolutely brilliant. What he did, it can't be understated. And he will go down as one of the greatest managers for Leicester City. It was the right decision to sack him, and ultimately that's been proved right over the last 3 or 4 years in the fact of the direction of Ven as pushing again towards the top of the table and also winning more silverware. If Ranieri stayed, we would have gone down to the Championship.
Oh, that's a big statement. Obviously, talking about obviously your current manager Brendan Rodgers, who obviously probably goes down in history too, winning the FA Cup. I know I remember 2 seasons ago when you finished outside the top four when you lost to United in the last game of the season. I know Neil. I remember Neil being on a Chelsea channel, and he was kind of saying, Brendan Rodgers' future is uncertain. There was a mix of in the fan base about him. But then, last season, he, again, incredible season. He's building such a young squad. We'll get onto your transfers later on. He won you the FA Cup. Is Brendan Rodgers really obviously compared to Puel, the guy who was there before him, do you think that he's...
I'd rather paint drive and watch Club World football.
Well, obviously he's came in and he's completely changed, the expectations and the style and just everything around the club compared to what, because under Puel it was very toxic, wasn't it? Obviously you got knocked out by Newport County in the FA Cup, I believe, under Puel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. With Club World, the results themselves, some of them were absolutely brilliant. Like, there was a period where we beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, we beat Man City at home, lost to Cardiff, and then we beat Everton. So we were doing well against big teams, but we just could not break down any team that sat deep against us. Like, we played at home with 3 CDMs, and it's like, yes, that's good for playing counter-attacking football, but Jesus Christ, it is a painful watch.
Well, how would you sum up Brendan Rodgers' time at the club? He came in halfway through. He came away halfway through the season, didn't he? Because he left Celtic, joined Leicester. They ended up, obviously when a manager joins halfway through, you don't expect. Look at Ancelotti's record. He joined halfway through Everton. It was atrocious. So you can't judge that. But obviously his first full season, probably should have got top 4. Unfortunately, obviously injuries probably caught up to you in that season, and then last season he got knocked out to Slovakia Prague in Europa League. He won the FA Cup and again slightly missed out in top 4. Now I remember we spoke not long after the FA Cup game. You would have took the FA Cup over top 4 all night and day, while Chelsea fans took top 4 over the FA Cup. So we won the Champions League anyway. So the FA Cup, it was good to see Leicester win the FA Cup because we won the Champions League anyway. But how do you sum up Brendan Rodgers' time and going into next season? Obviously with the signings, with the signings, Sommer, Bertrand, and Daka, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple more to come from what Fabrizio's been saying. Do you think there's some extremely exciting times with Brendan Rodgers coming forward?
Yeah, I think what's let us down in the last couple of seasons has been that it's for his last 6 games, both times it's just our squad depth is like the teams that we're competing with. Rob Tanner, who's like one of the best journalists in terms of Leicester, put it brilliantly. We shop in a different market to you guys because we can't do what you do of spending hundreds of millions every single summer. And like the same with Man City, Liverpool, United. We simply just can't do it at the moment. Maybe in a few years we can do, but that's meant our squad depth is going to take longer to build up. And that's what Brendan Rodgers is saying. Like, qualifying for Europa League this year, ultimately at the start of the season, would have been considered a success. But it's just the fact that we were in the top 4 for so long, and then dropped out of it. It's just the injuries and lack of squad depth just caught up to us. Because the thing is, when you look at the players that you guys bring in when you have injury, they're still like international players, players who've won like major trophies and big parts of it. We brought in Ryan Bennett, who's now playing at Bristol City or somewhere like that.
Ryan Bennett was awful. His time was terrible at Leicester. He struggled.
Yeah, he was shit. I'm sorry. He was just absolutely. He wasn't very good at football. Let's put it nicely. But then we were having to play like James Justin, a left back at centre back, Ndidi at centre back, and then Ndidi got injured, and it was just a snowball effect. As soon as one player started going down, like Harvey Barnes as well. And the thing is, like the teams that we're competing with, you'll have players to bring in to when this happens. We don't. Like, I'd say our starting 11, player for player, can compete with most teams. But it's once you get onto the bench and the squad, that's when we struggle.
Well, yeah, I can think because the Jorginho dropped out, Kovacic comes in, Aferna dropped out, Abraham came in. When Silver went out, Christensen came in, or Suma could come in. I guess you can see what you mean, but let's talk about some of the people who you will who are coming into Leicester City to this new season, kind of break them down by one. So obviously, first of all, is Paston Dagler from Salzburg. Now, I heard what you said on the Dogs video. It's actually 17 million, not 27 million. I remember I've seen you said on Dogs video, so I was prepared for that. Obviously, do you think that he will start beside Vardy in a 2-man? Do you think he'll be a backup to Iheanacho? Do you think him and Iheanacho both be backups? How do you see Brendan Rodgers utilising him, Iheanacho, and Daka next season?
Well, the thing is, it's not as easy as who's like a starter and a backup, because we've got so many games next season with Europa League. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers goes into every cup competition, he says, as well, trying to go as far into it as possible.
He plays full teams in Carabao Cups, and doesn't he? He would be the only manager who would go for the League Cup.
Yeah, mate, I'd love us to win the League Cup next year. I know you, like the big Six fans, couldn't give less than a toss about it. I would love to see us win it, but no, I think primarily to start with, he will be the understudy for Jamie Vardy, and then. But imagine Paston Daka's quicker than Jamie Vardy, and I'll say that right now. Imagine having to defend against Vardy for like 60, 70 minutes, and then have fresh legs of Paston Daka coming off the bench. That is like sweaty FIFA mode of bringing a super sub off the bench. Like, it's that level of.
He comes from a very good. He comes from a very good team in Salzburg. Because Salzburg play really good. They play a fast league, fast game. So he comes from a good team and culture that would probably suit the Premier League and probably suits how Brendan Rodgers will want to utilise him. Obviously, for some, this guy's extremely highly rated. I know Leicester fans are extremely happy with him. When the news came out, I know some Leicester fans that I follow on Twitter were going absolutely nuts, especially Canadian Foxes, I think you call him. I know he's a very big fan of him. Yeah. For 17 million, it looks like an absolute bargain for Leicester.
Yeah. This is what I was saying before. We shop in a different market to the big traditional Big Six clubs, because a club like Chelsea would never look at a young player like Patson Daka. The thing is, you'll be looking at the players like the Mbappes, the Erling Haaland,
yeah,
and that'll be like 150 million. So these are the kind of players that for our scouting team, which has been absolutely brilliant over the last few years. I'd argue the best in the Premier League. These are the kind of players that we bring in, young players that have got that potential to go on to the next level and to become like that world star.
Moving on to your next one, a new defensive midfielder, Sommer from Lille. Obviously, he won the league last year he won Ligue 1 in France. He's a defensive midfield. So obviously, you've got Chidley, you've got Ndidi. Where do you think he will? Well, what do you think he's learned to be the understudy, like to Ndidi, or maybe play the Europa League games for rotation, maybe a change in system next year? Well, obviously, again, extremely young player, very talented player. I think he was actually rated the young player of the year for Lille last season, and I know he was in the attention for overall in the league. So you bagged yourself another bargain at 18 million.
Yeah, and the thing about Sommer is he's capable of playing that defensive midfield role, which means that Ndidi won't have to play every single game this year. So that's, again, improving the squad depth and improving the quality of the squad depth. But he's also able to play that box-to-box role that Youri Tielemans plays. So, again, Youri Tielemans won't have to play every single minute of every single game this year. So it's, again, just improving that squad depth with quality. Because when Tielemans or Ndidi didn't play, the drop-off is huge to Hamza Choudhury and Mendy.
I thought Choudhury was a young prospect. Does he just not lived up to what he was meant to be?
He's not great. I'm going to be honest. He looks like he'll be going to Newcastle anyway, but he's one of those, like, he has moments where he looks brilliant, but he's just not good enough really for the level that we want to be at.
That's fair enough. And obviously these two are people who are come back on loan. You got Glasshill and Beknevich. I think as you expect both of them to be shipped out again somewhere in Europe.
To be fair, Gazelle, he'll either be going to Besiktas or Galatasaray. He was on loan at Besiktas last season, and he actually broke the assist record in Turkey for the most assists ever in their league, which I think is a pretty cool start. But if we can get both of those two clubs competing against each other, maybe bump up the price slightly, that'll be brilliant. And then Benkovic, I'm surprised he managed to get back to Leicester without getting injured, to be honest. I've never seen such an injury-prone player.
In terms of departures, I don't think there's anyone to. Matty James, he didn't. He was. What did he do?
He's a baller in the Championship. He just hasn't done anything of note for about 4 or 5 years.
Christian Fuchs. So obviously, did he win the league with you? So obviously Ryan Bertrand, which I'll come back to Ryan Bertrand for a specific reason. I've got something special to say about him. Obviously he's leaving with Ryan Bertrand coming in. So I take it there's no. I think that just makes sense. There was no point really keeping him on.
Well, no, 35. His best days were definitely behind him. Like he was having to play as a centre back as well because he didn't have the legs to play as a left back. This is what I mean. But we were having to play players out of position because we just didn't have the players to play there. But at 35, he's gone to America, and it's like I know he's Austrian there, but his family all live in America and stuff. So I think it's one of those. Thank you, Fuchs, for everything you've done for Leicester. He's a club legend. He's absolutely adored by the fans. But sometimes you just got to move on.
And then obviously a very sad sight, Wes Morgan obviously retiring. Obviously, as the season gone on, he became very much a bench player and probably more of a dressing room presence and an on-field presence. Obviously seeing at the start. Obviously, he lifted the Premier League trophy. He lifted the FA Cup with Schmeichel last season, and obviously it's probably good that he obviously retired at Leicester. Maybe retired a bit earlier than people thought. People thought he may play on to his 40s, but obviously an incredible servant to Leicester, and we're probably happy he's retired on the back of an FA Cup win.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way for him to go out. He won the Championship with us, won the Premier League, took us to the deep stages of the Champions League, and also then also obviously won the FA Cup. The last 2 years, he hasn't really played. As you say, he's been an off-field presence more than anything else. But good luck to him in whatever he chooses to do next.
Is there any? I did see some talk he maybe joining the Leicester Academy coaching team. If you know if that's true or not.
That's the first I've heard of it.
Just seen on Twitter today, or maybe it was a Leicester fan saying he wanted him to. But you'll see Wes Morgan back in Leicester in some way. And obviously, Under, he's away to Marseille on loan. Leicester didn't decide not to bring him back. He didn't really do anything at Leicester, did he? He was quite useless.
He's one of those. He's a talented player on the ball, but his work rate off the ball is why he will never make it in a Premier League team. Specifically a Brendan Rodgers team, you have to work so hard off the ball in the Brendan Rodgers team, and he just didn't have that about him, which is why his game time was so limited. But good luck to him. Good luck to him at Marseille. I've got nothing against the lad.
And then obviously Ryan Bertrand, obviously he's a Champions League winner with Chelsea. I don't know how that's a thing, but he is. He's obviously very, very on a free transfer. Good Southampton, good Premier League experience. And if you ever have any issues on left back, unlike Christian Fuchs, who was obviously he had to use Fuchs differently compared to how you would use your natural left back. But obviously Ryan Bertrand, he's a perfect replacement. He can play the Europa League games, League Cup games, come in in the Premier League if needed. Without probably, it's not someone you would get the team sheet and go, oh no, he's actually someone you go, yeah, he can do a job easily enough.
Yeah, and we've got two very, very promising young left backs in James Justin, but he's injured out until at least Christmas, I think. And Luke Thomas, who very, very promising young player, obviously had a really good game against Chelsea in the final, but you can't expect a 19-year-old kid to play every game in the Premier League, Europa League, and FA Cup up until Christmas. So I think it's a good signing on a 3-year deal. And I think it's more of a stopgap than anything, to be honest, until we've got James Justin back. Oh, hello, you still there, mate?
Sorry about that. My internet decided to crash on me.
Are you just going to cut that out?
Yeah. In terms of moving on to obviously the pre-season, you've got some decent pre-season games to kind of get yourself warmed up for the season. So you're away to Burton on the 24th of July, away to Wycombe Wanderers, away to QPR. And then you play Manchester City in the Community Shield. So you're sticking to the Championship clubs. I know some clubs are playing Premier League clubs. You're sticking to Championship clubs all the way from home. In terms of Brendan Rodgers and how he treats pre-season, is he like Pep Guardiola, where he keeps it mainly around the first team, or does he like to primary use the youth players and just give the first team minutes that they need?
He's one of those, but we've only really seen one proper pre-season under Brendan Rodgers, so it's hard to say. Because obviously last time, I don't count last pre-season as a real pre-season, because it just, last season's finished and then you're almost straight into this season. There wasn't really a proper pre-season. I think we played one game against Birmingham City and that was it. But the pre-season I remember with him is that we saw a lot of the fringe players playing as well as first teamers. But we did a lot of first half. I think it was against Notts County. First half it was one team. Second half it was the other team, and we would see 2 11s. So I would expect the same again. And we always do these kind of pre-seasons where we play like Championship League One clubs. And then normally we would finish off with a game at King Power against a big European club. But obviously we've got the Community Shield this time because we won the FA Cup. I'll say that one more time. We've got the Community Shield again because we won the FA Cup.
How do you see? And I know the Community Shield, obviously, I see it as a glorified friendly. I think most people do. But as Leicester, obviously you've never won the FA Cup. Did you win what was your Community Shield result when you won the league? I
lost to United. The Community Shield, I'll put it in perfect way. It's a trophy if you win it. It's a pre-season friendly if you've lost it.
So do you see that game? Do you see that game more as just like you hope to see a performance against Man City, and you're not overly worried if you win or lose the game?
No, I want to see us win it. I'm not going to lie about it. I want to see us win it. But if we lose it, it's a pre-season friendly.
That's fair enough. Moving in, obviously you play Wolves down the first game of the season at the King Power. It should be full capacity, so hopefully you'll be able to. I don't know if you go to how often you would go to Leicester games or not, but would you? Are you a season ticket holder, or would you just go on the time where you can get tickets?
Season ticket holder, home and away.
So do you think you'll be able to make Wolves if it's full capacity, as the government says?
Yeah, 100%. There is no way I'm missing that game.
Hopefully you'll be able to make it. What is your expectations then for next season? That's gone again. Sorry, internet's having a harder towards the end here. Sorry. You know all about it anyway, don't you? You know the pain.
I do. Luckily now in my new gaff, I've got good internet. It's plugged into my laptop right at the back. It's not disconnecting.
Right, so I have to do some editing to go back into the next one. So your expectations for next season. I take it you probably like to try and get the top 4 for a time lucky. Probably a longer run within the Europa League. And then, do you want to chance your luck maybe 2 FA Cups in a row?
I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think you've just named the perfect season for Leicester. If I'm honest, if that happens, all of that happens, I'll have an even bigger smile on my face than I usually do, and I'm probably the one person who just doesn't stop smiling.
In terms of do you think that's like maybe the missing piece over these 3 seasons, Brendan Rodgers being in charge, just getting over the line in a top 4 place. Like top 4 might be a bit more difficult compared to what it has been, because United have strengthened really well. Chelsea are looking at really, really good. We've obviously got City. Liverpool should be up there next season with a fully fit team.
Right.
Do you think getting into the top 4 is going to be? Do you think being in that position that you were the last 2 seasons is going to be more difficult to reach?
Potentially, yeah. But at the start of every season, the big clubs always look good, and then there's always a couple that don't quite reach the expectations that their fans set. No, I think you misheard for the first bit. There's always some big clubs that always look good. Arsenal still look like Comedy Central, but yes, on paper, all 4 of you guys are improving massively, but I don't see all 4 of you guys having the seasons that your fans hope that you have. There'll be at least one of you that drops away and fades away. So I think what's let us down massively over the last couple of years, as I've mentioned before, is squad depth. Brendan Rodgers is working so hard on that. It's something that he keeps talking about. It looks like, obviously, we've improved that in the midfield. We've brought in another striker, brought in a left back. We're hopefully bringing in another centre back and a right winger. I think if we get the centre back and the correct right winger, I see no reason why we can't get top 4 if we've got the squad depth to compete with it, because that is the reason the last 2 years that we haven't.
I honestly, in my opinion, you should probably try and get United out of the top 4 just for the absolute meltdown up at sea by Mark Goldbridge and the United fans. Just seeing them finish outside the top 4 with Leicester finishing in the top 4. I mean, that's what I want, because obviously they bet you to top 4. 2 seasons ago when they bet you in the final game of the season. That really annoyed me, because we bet Wolves quite comfortably. It's like, please beat them, but it just wasn't to be. But my final question to you then is, what is it you're most looking forward to next season? Is it seeing these new players? Is it seeing a big Leicester squad, maybe an FA Cup, defending your FA Cup? What as a Leicester fan would you look and go, I am most excited for this or a proper European run, hopefully this year?
Right now, what I'm looking forward to the most is Burton away in pre-season and actually going to a game. It's been way too long, but when we get into the actual season, I'm just like, it sounds cringe as anything, but I miss going to football with my mates and just having a good time, because it's not the same watching it on TV, especially with empty stadiums. Like, when I've had a rubbish week, it's like what I look forward to at the end of a week, and that probably sounds cringe and corny as anything, but it's just going back to the football with my mates.
I have to say, I live in Northern Ireland, so I don't get the luxury of going to Chelsea games, but I go to Glenavon games, my local team. I can't wait to get to those games home and away again. It just, your weekend, you just don't have the same buzz for the weekends, do you? Without knowing that you're going to be going to a football game home and away. And obviously the away days are something else. Obviously certain grounds, I think what's Leicester's best away day in the Premier League? Chelsea love going to Southampton. Oh, what would Leicester's be?
Obviously, yeah. Southampton's always good. Old Trafford as well is surprisingly fun, because they just don't sing, so it's just like you get the away end, which is always really loud, and then just the rest of Old Trafford's like a library. What others is there? I'm looking forward to going to Brentford, because I went to Griffin Park at Brentford, their old ground, but I haven't been to their new place yet, so that'll be quite fun. Palace as well. Palace is another one that I like, because I like those old school grounds. I know I've just said about Brentford being a new ground, but I like those old school grounds with that bit of character about them. That's why I like Turf Moor as well. Everyone else calls it a shithole and stuff. I think it's a cracking ground.
I think Burnley, though. I think the Burnley ground just sums up Burnley under Sean Dyche perfectly. Old, ugly, but effective. that's a good way to sum it up. So, as this is a Chelsea channel, I have to quickly ask you about Chelsea and what you think about us next season. So, obviously, Leicester was the team to get Lampard sacked in the end. Lampard got sacked. Obviously, he got sacked after Luton Town, but obviously, it was already decided he was getting sacked after Leicester won. Thomas Tuchel came in. He got us top 4. The defense improved. Champions League, FA Cup final. I'm going to ask everyone who comes on this from different clubs. Doug will be getting asked this later on when he's on for Liverpool. Do you think that Chelsea are a genuine threat? Look, we do have issues for striker. We do need to get a striker, but it's too hard to go into that because there's so much different possibilities and all. Do you think Chelsea is a genuine threat, or do you think it was a purple patch? A power patch, or Thomas Tuchel literally just coming in and everything just worked for him.
I think you can't just say it's a purple patch to win the FA. You didn't win the FA Cup to win the Champions League, to go on the run that you went. But at the same time, what you see with Tuchel is when he loses a couple of games in a row, and when it starts getting tough, that's when you're going to see what he's like. How he responds, I think that's going to be key to how well he does in the long term at Chelsea. Because I think he's a brilliant manager, but it's always once you have a tough period and how you respond from that. I think that'll be interesting to see. But I see no reason if you get a striker of some of the names that you've been linked to, there's no reason that you can't compete for the title next year.
Do you think we'll sign Haaland?
Probably not. No, if I'm being honest.
No, I can't.
It would not surprise me. Like every club and their nan's been linked to Haaland this summer. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if he stays at Dortmund and leaves next summer when his release clause kicks in.
Do you think if Chelsea got a proper striker in, and there isn't many good strikers going around right now, so Chelsea are going to have to do a bit of a Leicester City and maybe look in certain different leagues, different areas, go from maybe a younger one and try and maybe get Werner Havertz as a consistent striker. Do you see Chelsea being title contenders, or do you think they're still maybe a step or two away from being at a Manchester City level?
It's hard to say, it really is, because Werner's such a strange player because everything until he shoots is brilliant. Like his build-up play, like his positioning, the way that he runs for channels. I know he's offside quite a bit, but the way he runs for channels and the space that he provides is absolutely brilliant. It's just that finishing. So if he could get that down, I don't think you'd need to sign another player. But then typically Chelsea aren't that patient with players. So I don't know. It's a hard one to say without... If come back to me after the transfer deadline day, and I'll give you a better answer.
Do you think we're going to win the Champions League again?
No.
No, if we do, I think I'll be joining you with the biggest smile on the face. And then my final question, just to end on a bit of an interesting, an unexpected question to catch you off guard, and this will catch everyone off guard. What manager in the Premier League next season do you think will be sacked first?
Ooh. I want to say Arteta because I think the guy's an absolute fraud, but I hope he stays for as long as physically possible. And have you seen that they're making a documentary about us?
All or nothing. Yep.
Brilliant, isn't it?
I can't wait for it. It's going to be so good. I can't wait to see what Arteta's team talks are like.
But I'm going to go with the Watford manager because they never last long. Like they'll come up, he'll lose 2 games and he'll be out the door.
Right, literally. How did Nigel Pearson get sacked 2 seasons ago? What was the logic in sacking him?
Disgraceful to treat Sir Nigel like that.
I've gone with Dean Smith of Aston Villa.
It's interesting. I've never rated Dean Smith that highly, but you almost have to turn your head and go, like, when you look at what they did last year, you have to go, maybe there is something there. But
I think if you look how bad they were when Grealish was injured last season, if Grealish goes to City, I just don't think Smith will do very well because defensively Villa are not particularly great. Their defense is normally quite shaky. Patrick Vieira, he's got a very difficult job at Palace. He's literally lost half their team.
Yeah, but they're recruiting quite well, aren't they? When you look at the players,
they're signing Mark Gucci from us, a young centre back.
Yeah. He's getting back. He is getting back to Palace. He's got. I know that they've lost a lot of key players, but they've also got some very good players like Eze, Zaha. They've got Mitchell coming through at left back. I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's absolutely brilliant. So I think they're a few players away from being a solid mid-table side.
I think it'll be interesting because I think next year's Premier League will be really competitive. I think You know, you look at, Villa could be up there, Leeds United, Southampton, if they kind of find the form they have under Hasenhüttl over the course of his time. You know, there's some teams. You know, will Spurs finally win a trophy in the European Conference League, or like somewhere bottle the easiest trophy that is literally available? You know, I think you could probably join the excitement. I think maybe next year's season, Champions League, Europa League, Premier League, it's going to be a really, really competitive year because a lot of teams are strengthening, and there's a lot. You can't really separate many teams at the moment. Like the gaps are closing from relegation to the title contenders to the Europa League contenders. And the gaps are all closing, and it's obviously a good time for the league. It just means things aren't as easy for the big boys anymore.
No, not brilliant to say that the top 6 aren't as protected anymore. Oh, what a time to be alive.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. Hope you enjoyed us. Like a wee trip in the past, and then kind of moving into pre-season, moving on to next season. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pure pleasure to talk to you.
No, I've really enjoyed it. I hope I haven't bored everyone too much for me waffling for about 35, 40 minutes. I hope your viewers have enjoyed it too. But cheers for having me on, and hopefully we'll talk again throughout the season.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got a wee guest who's been climbing around my table. He wanted to say hello.
Oh, yeah.
She's been climbing around my table and flying all over my TVs while we've been talking. But if you're new to the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe, to hit the subscribe button. Also like the video, share the video. All of Anthony's links, YouTube channel, Twitter, and all that will be in the description if you're interested in checking out his smiling face, because I'm sure you'll see plenty of smiling over on his channel, especially if Leicester doing well next season. He'll be on the channel again. I may be on his channel at some point. You never know. And I wish you all the best for the season ahead if I don't talk to you before it starts.
Yeah, I won't be wishing Chelsea the best. I'm sorry, but
we need to check, and we still have this man on the books at the moment, so I'll have to watch him in pre-season. So.
Lucky man. I love having drink water.
Never know. He might be in Chelsea's plans next season if he has a good pre-season. But I hope everyone's enjoyed the video. The next video of this series will be with the Dugout Football channel when we talk about Liverpool, which will be out this will be out on Saturday. Doug's video will be out on Sunday, so make sure to check that out. Keep an eye on the Twitter. Check Anthony out. Check this amazing man out, and we will see you. I will see you in the next video, and Anthony will see you over in his channel because you're going to check him out. Thank you.
Why do you let us hurt one another just for the dollar? Did you lose your heart in the darkness deep in your pocket? No, I don't care of the price I pay. I don't want to spend my life that way. Tell me, is the pain that you're causing worth what you profit?
Yeah, I know that money don't buy happiness, but buys you more material shit. Been reworking how I think and what it means to be rich. I used to think it meant to flex, so Rolex on my wrist. Feels bad to take more than you give. Lately hate how we live. I never want to become the things that I hate. With a man in the mirror with laugh and spit in my face and tell me that the money is maybe another fake. I've been drowning in my mind and my money's been adding weight. Oh Lord, please save me. I should've known that something man-made couldn't make me. I say I'm making music, or is music what creates me? I never have an answer, same question every day. See, when we pass on, all our things are passed on to the next. Everything we didn't do is everything we regret. Every day we fucking work for this worthless check. If you're not happy, you're forever in debt. You're forever in debt.